Being 6:30, we'll start the July 13th meeting of the Westminster Select Board. Any adjustments to the agenda this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to acceptance of minutes, June 22nd, 2022.
I'll move to minutes as written.
Seconded. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Communications and public comments. Before we get going on this, since there's a lot of faces that not everybody's going to know, if you could just state your name and be recognized by the chair at that.
John Todd. I live up on Mill Hill Road South. That's just a mile and a half's worth of West Road, but it's kind of landlocked from Westminster West proper. I've got 5 points to make. I'll keep them brief. Sure. My partner's an editor. She says it'll pay off. Gratitude for the work you guys do, like week in, week out. I'm sure your families would like to see more of you, but here you are in service to the town, and thank you. I rarely get to these select board meetings. Last one was 2020. Thank you. Item number 1 after the thumbs up is at the last select board meeting, you all received some misrepresentation that the class 4 road that Dan Crocker was intending to do improvements upon. It was identified as a class 4 road, and it is, and it has been identified since 1949 as a legal trail. It's showed that way on your map in the office downstairs, and it's shown that way on the Vermont Trans maps. The request that was brought to you on June 22nd was a request to do work on a class 4 trail. That approval was given. Brings up the second point. The approval that was given for the class 4 trail, that work had already been accomplished in some significant part when that permission was requested. That was discussed at the meeting, but I think it's worth noting that the protocol for putting in a written request for improvements to legal trail or class 4 trail needs to come in as a written request before the work that's permission. Item number 2 includes that it was a request for 600 feet of improvements to allow for logging. Brings us to the third point. Yesterday, there was an additional amount of work that was accomplished on that trail, the legal trail that connects Windmill Hill Road south with Windmill Hill Road north, about 2,000 feet of trail. There was work accomplished beyond the 600 feet of the application that was filed on June 22nd, filed and approved for on June 22nd. Pacing it out last night, the work that was done was accomplished 900 feet beyond the 600 feet of request and approval given June 22nd. Brings us to the last point. I'm representing a group of 6 households in that neighborhood. Heather and I have lived on that piece of property 33 years. We've seen 9 houses be constructed on that road in our 33 years there. It's a mile and a half. So it's getting a lot of pressure for further building, and you guys are seeing it in the road maintenance crew that has to be accomplished. All of that work. Our concern is that the work that's been accomplished to date on that legal trail and uprooting it and bringing heavy equipment and pulling out bedrock and ledge and dropping gravel is turning it into the appearance of a class 4 road. That trail leads to the Pinnacle Trailhead, which you guys probably heard gets a lot of parking. That's turning this legal trail into a throughway to achieve access more readily from highway, for instance, to that parking lot and to points beyond. That's my primary concern in wanting to be on the agenda today, is to express concern about this work that's being accomplished in a way above and beyond the requested permissions granted. And that it's changing the inherent quality and the inherent value and the character of that area, that 2,000 feet, third of a mile, that makes that area enjoyable to live. So thank you. That's all. I've got perhaps some other people want to add to that information.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Todd Eastman, I live on 13 Middle Road South. Thank you. I have some concerns about the work we've done in 2020, getting that clarified as a authorized vehicle only section of legal trail. Legal trail in the town plan is mentioned as a recreational thing, but it also allows access to parcels farming and agricultural use. That's okay. So I'd like to make sure that it's still considered by this select board when it's been named in 2020. The issue then was that motorcycle tours coming through, and it was getting pretty rowdy over there. Just people waiting to get through. That said, it's of concern to us that this thing becomes a thoroughfare. And is there, when does it become a driveway? Versus, and if it is a driveway on a legal trail, which happens, what about the maintenance issues for that? Legal trail specifies that there's no maintenance at all. Class 4 roads and some of these on it. And I'd like to make sure that those issues are considered. If there's any potential for development up there, which there is, and landowners are entitled to do so, that they would follow the procedures. Be right. If this is done under an act settled needs the current use right now, does that work? Get to be right immediately after that for private upgrade? Are those two moved in a way or is this at the planning commission? Do you look at more clearly? Right now.
Thank you.
There's a chair in front of us.
With your question on the change from a trail to a different classification or anything, but speaking for myself, I don't see that I have no intention of changing it. Only for myself.
Well, there are procedures to do that.
Sure, and I bet most of us have no idea what that procedure is.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna tell you that I do, so.
Yeah.
Um,
It's spelled out and it's fair. It's in
Yep.
the class 4 trails and class 4 roads and trails policy section of the code. It's fairly simple and fairly clear. We just are asking that those procedures be followed by their.
mhm. Right. Thank you. Anybody else? I'll get.
Anyone else want to go first?
No,
Dan
go ahead.
Crocker.
I didn't hear.
Dan Crocker.
Thank you.
So first of all, apologize for putting everybody in this situation. That was my intent. My intent is to make a living. I'm a tree farmer. That's what I do. Farm trees. They conserve. We do firewood, logging, but mostly do everything. That's what we do. My family's owned the property for 86 years now. We use that trail constantly through the years. I remember doing it the last time I did a big cutback, it was maybe 3. I split all the wood on my little 2-wheel drive pickup truck, dump truck, and I was able to go south through the middle of the road and north, deliver the firewood. We used it constantly through the years. You guys are right on it is a trail. I've since looked at it. The previous town manager told me it's class 4 road, and if I needed to get in, I could do what I wanted. I started the work. I was very clear with you guys that, hey, I started this. I didn't realize I had to come in and ask permission. Came in and asked permission. I mentioned, I don't know, maybe on my written thing, I didn't put the ledges on the other side. that was a miss by me. Yes, I do have a house lot. I conserved my land. I left 2 house lots for my kids. One for my son back there, one for my daughter on the front. We have no access to the back of that property. Because through the land trust, I'm not allowed to put a road through that I can plow, it'd be over a mile. It's 800 feet down the south side from that house. The north side, it's easier to get logs out, you have to bother him from the south. So that's what we did, just 2 loads of gravel and the culvert that we replaced. The culvert that was there was dangerous, had holes in it, and scrapped it. It's not safe. I've done some legal work on the trail and some history, just for everyone's knowledge. 1949 was made a trail, not a class 4 road, a trail. There was no houses from Mansfield's on the corner all the way to the West Road, which was known as the Bell House. Over some subsequent times, it was trail, somebody built a house, and then humans went first, oval feeds from the other side. Pretty soon it was class 3, and then more people built, and the town had given them permission to improve the trail. I think the last time I looked, someone tried to get the trail on the north side into the Pinnacle lot as class 3. I don't think it went anywhere. I didn't go that far in the research, but it looks like they probably didn't have the money to do it. It's a lot. Difference between a class 4 road and a trail by state law, which is basically nothing except you guys aren't obligated to do anything on a trail. There's slight obligations, and I don't know what that means. If you have an abutter on a class 4 road or a trail, you have legal access to that. My asking you guys for permission to do that should be granted unless there's some kind of really unreasonable thing going on. I don't think this was. My intent's not to let motorcycles. I don't want them going through there. That may be a moot point in 10 years when they're all electric and there's no noise. Thank God, that'll be nice. So that's my intent this time, was just to get the logs out. We have one more. We're done for the farmer. Apologize for the noise. It's a 25-year cut. When we're done, we've got 2 little acres next year, 2 more acres we're going to do later this fall. And we probably won't be back here for 25 more years. So as far as the house site, I may improve that. The ledges on the other side were an issue. Couldn't get down them with a piece of machinery. When they have some stuff, we have to bring up the road later. My brother almost took the tractor over there. We almost tripped the UTV over there yesterday morning. I looked at Alex and I said, I told people I was going to do this, but I'm doing it now, because if I send my employees back there and they got hurt on those ledges, that would have been it. We also put really nice water bars. We didn't make it passable for a car, just so I could get my equipment in. The water bars worked wonderful in the storm. We checked them out. I had Alex look at them today. They held the water back nicely, so they didn't go down there. I told John I put a water bar at the bottom of the trail if he wanted me to, because there's some wimpy ones and the water's going into these guys' driveway. He didn't feel comfortable with that. That was fine. You asked me to do water bars, so we did those. And on the north end, when we're done, there's one spot that goes down to Zap's. We'll put a water bar in there. As far as the house lot, was part of my plan for retirement. That's all I have. I have a lot of retirement. Tried farming for a living. I take 5 days off in the last 6 years, and that includes weekends and holidays. So I work all the time. And that's part of my plan. It was part of something I want to leave my son. I want to leave him something, and that's where I'm at. I just, I don't want to cause any trouble. I've done the right thing in my life. I conserved the land. I lost millions doing it because I had 14 house sites, and I know how to build a house, do all the work. So I put my money where, done the right thing. Just I want to just do what I got to do, and I'm going to be out of everybody's hair pretty quick, a couple of years. So, and I've always been really open. All you people hike on my property, bike on it, whatever. And I'm happy. I have a really nice trail system on there. We take care of it. I spend a lot of money on erosion control, the 3-inch stone out there. I don't see anybody else doing that kind of stuff. So, I apologize for that. You have legal rights to fix the trail, and unless there's some mitigating circumstances, you guys are supposed to allow that. And there is precedent. So for years, someone gets a piece of property, they improve the trail, build a house, improve the trail, build a house. It's been going on both ends. since 1949, since they changed it. And I would assume that precedent, I did get some legal help on this, and that was pretty much what I've heard. So if I do a house there, I'll have to come in from the south end, come up about 800 feet, I'll give you access to all that stuff, I'll do it proper. But I don't want to have motorcycles and all that stuff going through any more than you do. So we quietly build a house. That's pretty much it.
So I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you on the do the right thing part. Because you're beyond what you came in 2 meetings to do. And that's probably what, I'm gonna guess, ruffled a lot of feathers. It didn't need to be.
And I
need to have-
apologize, but I thought I put the lynch on the thing, I
No.
didn't go back and check,
No.
so I apologize.
Still-
for that. That's the one thing I didn't do, but I think it comes down to it, I have the right to make access and make it passable, so.
Having a legal right to do something and doing the right thing, in my mind, are two different things. That's just my statement. So, can I grab, Jim, did you have something?
Yeah.
I'll get Jim and then I'll come back. But
I'll try to keep this short, but, a lot of people don't know that there is a village of Westminster, which I think last had a legitimate village function. So Nancy and I are the 2 village trustees, most of the village trustees are here tonight. Like I say, it's been decades,
can I just, is this about, are we talking about the same thing?
which we,
Trail.
no, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry,
I
okay.
thought you were taking me next. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, okay. Well, I'll get to you. Sorry. Sorry.
I just want to echo what you're saying. Oh, Heather Taylor, I'm sorry.
Heather,
Thank you. I just want to echo what you're saying about wanting to follow procedure. Dan, we are very interested in keeping on good terms with you. We appreciate everything that you do for maintaining a huge bunch of agricultural land or forested land, however it's designated. We get a lot of benefit from being there and where we live, and I already said to you, we don't have anything against you putting a house there or, doing the logging that you need to do. But the problem is that it's without process and without permission. And that makes it very difficult to feel like we're on good terms because we don't know what you're going to do. And so I just want to echo that.
anything else on Windmill Hill Trail? Yeah.
Going back quite a few years, Ruth Pierce, if you remember, spent a lot of time on. The state of Vermont made us come back to actually officially in this town declare once and for all what's a trail, what's class 4, and forever after that you can never add or change to it. So she spent several years going through it. One thing we learned about it, there's a distinct difference between a trail and a class 4. A trail was for a trail, just like it said. I've been here too long, probably, but we've had too many confrontations of people coming in where there's this groups of 4-wheelers coming from Connecticut, going up through, rutting it up. The motorcycle people are coming up. Once they find out, and I was concerned about them, once they find out it's a legal trail, they're looking for these places. The minute you see that you're clearing it up and you're making it better, it's only inviting more of these people who don't live around here. They just see it on the map and they head out through it. I don't really appreciate when you come and say my legal rights was. We have simple. We'll just ask our attorney, go look and see what our legal right is. I don't think anybody here wants to go do that. My concern is always been that once we give one person permission, the next party uses that against us. Well, you let Dan do it, or you let this one do it. And the other day when you came in, you said 600 feet and you wrote it, we said, okay, whether we like it or not, it makes sense. We're trying to help you. But it sounds like you're kind of abused that what you asked for, not intentionally, but still from the outside looking is this is not what we that you asked for.
And to come and say that, well, I need to keep going a little bit longer. No, if you want to go longer on the 600 feet, that's different, but you're past the 600 feet. And I, as one board member, no, I don't think it's right what you're doing unless you come back to us with a permit saying, stop now, this is what I want to do. I'm asking for another permit, not saying we wouldn't vote for it, but at least you come back and say, hey, I need to go another 900 feet. Everybody here gets to voice their opinion of it, and then we give you permission or not to do it. Just what I'm calling.
Yeah, and speak one more time. Because, yeah, I agree. I put the 600 feet, I didn't measure it. So that, you know, in my head, I was thinking I gotta go to the ledges and that's the spot. But that's, you know, I made a mistake.
I think you need to come back to us with a plan on how you're gonna put the land back. So it's not accessible any more than when you first started.
Well, it's still not, but what it is I need to
Maybe as a
access-
board, you
Yeah.
need to go as a board, look at where you're at, and then we'll come back to tell you what we want it to look like when you're all done.
yeah, to me, at the end game, it was a safety issue. It was tipped really bad. We couldn't get through there, to get down to the lower end of my property. And that was, you know, as I said at the end, I just, you know, I don't want to see one of my guys get hurt.
I had communicated with Todd yesterday that I was gonna go look at it this morning, and I just did not have the time to get there this morning. So I have not seen the south end. I did see the north end. We communicated that there's gonna be seeded mulch and water bar to deter vehicular traffic. I haven't been back since then, so I can't verify that that had been done or not, but go ahead.
I would like to add that the access for pulling logs out is possible by going in through the north end. The decision to chop out the ledge has very little to do with getting logs out up there. It has more to do with improvement to that as a thoroughfare. But the logs can and probably will be pulled out through the north end. I don't see the purpose in making it all the way through.
Yeah, I do have to get logs out below there. If my land goes down, I can't come up around. So we have to take some room, which is going to be later falling up the road. And I just had to get my log over through here. That's all. And we didn't make it very passable, we just made it safe.
You good?
Well, I just, I don't know how you can return the bedrock, like, I mean, there's the ledge scraped out on both sides of the road. And then there's also the ledge that was on the bed that's been changed. Okay, what do? Do you just put rubble back there to kind of make it? I mean, it's a tangent. I'm sorry, it's not really the point of this meeting, but I don't know. There's just been a lot of change up there. And I think things like whether the water bars are effective in a storm, I think there's some subjectivity there. There's other people who have more experience with water flow situations who say those water bars are really not adequate. So, you know, I think that's the whole point of having these permitting processes and asking other people to be involved in the planning of a project like this, is to make sure that the result is of the greatest benefit to the most people.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if that had been followed, we probably wouldn't be.
Exactly.
That was gonna be exactly my point. Yesterday's infliction, as I felt it upon coming home from work, was that work proceeded that was not permitted.
I feel like it's two separate projects. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been there to look at them both, but that's my view.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in if I
Yeah,
can.
no, go ahead.
So I appreciate everyone coming in here and expressing themselves. That's what the community is all about. I did want to follow up with Dan. Dan, you said you or your family had committed acreage to the land trust for complete preservation of
Yeah,
those.
Other than 2 lots.
So how much land was that? If I may
We
ask?
have made,
So you put 300 acres that you could have easily used for personal aggrandizement or development for all of us to use. No, I think that's incredibly, I don't know you from Adam. That's incredibly commendable. And kind of where the essence where we're starting. However, we all didn't come in just proud of being somebody. So I would just simply very quickly say this, part of being in the community, we don't have a formal venue for mediation, but we're all neighbors, and you're all neighbors and people are concerned. And since you came here and you said you were sorry, okay, or you're trying to mitigate what you're doing, and your neighbors are concerned, I would simply ask that you sit down with them or meet with them. That's what I would think, and see if you guys can come up with this, not just restoring what you all be more happy with or more content with collectively, but that you can restore a sense of balance, harmony, and neighborliness to whatever needs to be done. He has come here, as far as I'm just listening, okay, as a trained mediator, that he is sorry. I do agree that, you are obligated, you're very good at what you do, as you said, you've been doing it a long time, so you know what 600, you know the difference between 600 feet and 900 feet. But the
To
objective
be
here
more
is,
specific, he went 600 feet, then he went 900 feet more than that.
okay. And I appreciate you, and the key here is to come to a resolution that makes you feel not only listened to and the process was followed, and the process that's written is followed and is followed in future, but that you also repatriate, the animus, or let's say animosity, but at least the friction that's there, and see if something can be done. That you guys can get back together to make sure it doesn't happen again, and that you're all on the same page as to what you expect as neighbors. That's all I would say. But thank you all for your input, because that's what it's all about. And I'm not in any way saying your concerns are not valid. I do look at it though, and I look at somebody who could have taken that 300 acres, especially in this day and age, and developed it. And we're so lucky now to have that 300 acreage for recreation. So, thank you.
Would it be fair to request that these types of things, there'll be notification of them happening, and that there be a posting at each end of the job site of what's going on in the authorization for that? Just so we have a clue.
That's exactly, that's why I want to say, he doesn't have any permission from us to go to 900 feet. We gave permission 600 feet. It sounds like he did okay with the 600 feet. I think what everybody's saying is he should come back to us and say, hey, listen, I now need to go another 900 feet. And as a select board, we would say yay or nay, or what the stipulation is. And that's what my concern is. Okay, even if I kind of disagree, because if the neighbors work it out, why are the neighbors in charge of the road? It's the select board that make sure that we maintain it as a trail. We're the ultimate decision maker. And my thing is, okay, let them come back with a proposal. I'm willing to walk out and take a look at it too. Okay, and if the 600 feet's done with, there's the next 900 feet that he needs to look at. And I'm willing to walk out there and look at it and come back and make a decision on what that permit is. And all you gotta do is write it up real quick and what he wants to do.
Yeah, just a little clarification, didn't do 900 feet, I did at least a little bit of ledge that was about 75, 80, 90.
Maybe we
Wait,
walk-
You went 900 feet beyond the 600 feet. that you
Right, I
requested.
know, the tech, but all I did was that little bit, we just.
Oh, yeah.
went out and did that little bit. And the only thing I did was we did cut some trees along on my side. And
Still
so I
past
just
600.
cleaned up the debris that. Thanks.
I'm Kirsten Jefferson. I live in
Please, I don't.
Kirsten, can you spell your last name?
J-E-P-P as in Peter, E-S.
Thank you.
And I guess the bottom line is exactly what you're saying, sir, is that we just want the policies followed, and we want them followed before the work's done, not after. And that's what we're talking. We appreciate that you're concerned for them. We appreciate that, but we're just requesting that, at 8 o'clock in the morning, there's not a ledge hammer up there hammering out ledge that we didn't even know was happening, and that we didn't have a permit for it. That's our issue. Like I said, we're fine. We built out, I'm taking out, that is, we just wanted to go through the proper procedure in doing that. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
The long-term view of this is possible. Houses that go on in up there and that it not be a through road.
Is it possible, then for you to come back with a proposal for that night?
Oh, yeah.
Make it 1,000 feet, I really don't care.
But I can sit down with these guys, we've always gotten along, so we should all sit down.
You should get a written, and you should get a written permission from the select board.
Yeah.
That's all, just come back to us, like
Yeah.
I said, if you want to, I'm willing to walk up there and look at it too.
It sounds to me like it's already done.
Yeah.
Is it, I mean, are you done or?
We're
is there-
done, yeah.
I think that's the problem is that it's already done.
Well, they want like kids, you know. working on-
I know, we didn't say you're going back in the fall, you said
Oh, yeah, we will be going
that
back.
I'm all done and made a mistake, I don't think I've.
Yeah, we will, we have some more things to do in the fall.
So let's
That's it.
just do it right, let's just go, and we'll take a look at it, come back with what he was, and then these people will know that it's in the minutes. It is in the agenda coming up, that we're gonna discuss it some more, but thank you.
And I think it's fair to request that as much restoration of the site as possible be done when the law is done. That we get grass planted or the appropriate means, the litter cleaned up, as much as possible, and to restore it to the point where it's a viable recreational trail. And not just a logging road. So that would just be due diligence at the decommissioning or ending a logging road.
I think, I heard what you said about being a mediator and wanting to make sure people can talk it out together and address it that way. I think also, citing that the first instance was a mistake and, Dan apologized, whoops, I didn't quite do this right. And here I've already done this work. This was at the 22nd, the June 22nd meeting. So, hey, let's just, take care of this. Like that was one instance, but now here we are at another instance of, oops, I guess I didn't follow it the right way and I've taken out ledge to the south, which I said I wasn't going to do. So that's, I think, another point of tension is if there's a promise made or if there's a statement made, is it likely that that will remain the same or is it likely that that might change? And how would we know if it's going to change?
Yeah, and that's why that's why it works as a facility and has been over 30 years for me. I'm simply pointing out that, especially bringing up the fact that he had his land, when all of you have brought in this collective concern, it's key that you all, we, as a board now, okay, we can say stop, or we'll say stop again. That's what you really need to understand. Our limited jurisdiction in this matter, which is the land. We can sit up here as a select board and make it seem as if we have compulsory power over private landowners. I tell you right now, that's really not going to work in the long run. That's not how much power is in this desk. However, you do have the ability to work together with the person who owns that land, as you own your land, and collectively understand going forward that you have communication and that you expect that if Dan's going to do something or you're going to do something, that he's going to come and say, look, this is what I want to do beforehand. And then if there's a problem and you can't resolve it, it should come here before anything commences. And he should follow the procedure. I agree with you completely. But at the end of the day, don't think that this board has like this huge compulsory power, because it does not. It does not. We have rules that we observe. We have rules that we can again say, you broke the rule. Okay, but our power is limited other than sitting there and browbeat somebody. I'm simply saying that he came here, he's acknowledging that he did something he should have done. And what I'm saying is the best opportunity for your concerned folks on either side is to take that opportunity and try and make it work. If it doesn't, by all means, as Greg said, come on in here and we'll see what we can do.
It's not our duty to make it work if he exceeded the requested.
I understand. I get it. But part of mediation is just, trying to get a conversation together to avoid that in the future and stop everyone going into a balkanized camp.
Dan placed a call to Heather and I 2 nights prior. Said, I'm seeking your blessing to do this. we both said, we are not in a position to offer any blessing or any permission for this.
Okay.
This is something that goes through proper channels.
Okay.
For him to then proceed yesterday, doing what he did, was incorrect and against the permission of the town.
Understood.
In this case, so Dan come back and has worked it out, and what he's asking for. Whether totally everybody agrees, at least he comes back to us and select board, and everybody will have it in writing, what this is what he's asking for. They, whether they agree with the select board or don't agree with it, at least at one time, the select board make a decision that we're gonna let him do 1,000 more feet. This is what he's gonna be allowed to do and not allowed. And that you would have your input into that.
There is a challenge inherent in what happened in June 22nd. There was a misrepresentation on June 22nd that allowed this to proceed, that might have proceeded otherwise if there had been neighbors present to be able to offer some correction.
Look, I'm speaking for myself, and I would offer to all of you my sincere condolences for not more vigorously asking Dan or going up to myself if I did not do it. I apologize to all of you. That should be done. I'm talking to myself also. I'm not in any way disputing that, and I totally agree with you. I'm simply saying that going forward, I think it's critical. What I'm hearing is make sure that communication remains open, so that this does not become, more of that there's conciliation here, and that there's a rebuild, and that this is fixed. It's about fixing problems. We all get that this shouldn't have gone down the way it is, and I apologize for myself for not doing more diligent job on all taxpayers' behalf and making sure this was, more looking into. So I apologize for all of you. I'm simply trying to put up a solution that maybe communication is the best way to fix this going forward.
To be fair to all of them, to the select board tonight, so because we're kind of leaving, we're not knowing what we're doing. Why don't we at least agree so that they know that on next agenda, we're gonna ask Dan to come back with something, okay with Dan? And then it will be already on the agenda so that anybody knows it's gonna come back. Be fair to him, we need to do it as quick as quick as possible. And so at least when you leave, you'll know that next meeting, we will put it back on the agenda. Instead of us have to call you or notify you, we'll have it, post it, but at least as we leave our attention with the select board, we'll put it on the agenda at the next meeting. Okay?
And one other thing, a lot of stuff went back there within authorization of water signs, zoning, nobody ever.
There's no motors on the sign. It says no, not a through road, no authorized vehicle.
But all that stuff when you guys did it, nobody contacted me, I'm the landowner at the most road frontage. So all I'm saying is, we ought to all be both sides, and let's need to let the other side know.
Right.
So I understand you, but y'all happen to me too, so. Two rights don't make
Yours
wrong.
are authorized
Yeah.
vehicles.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I'm just saying, you guys went and worked on that, nobody brought me in on it.
I apologize for not notifying you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was
Good.
thinking about residents.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about people who own land. I was thinking about people who.
Yeah, but, I have the biggest right away there, 1,500 feet on.
All right, so we thank everybody for coming, for sure. Is there anything else on this matter at this time? We will put it on the agenda for next time.
Thank you all for coming.
I'm gonna go take a look at it tomorrow morning. I know I said I would today and I didn't make it, but I will tomorrow. If somebody wants to ride with me.
I will ride with you.
Where they're going, we'll figure it out.
All right.
Then you two, I'll go separate, Dan, I'll just call you. We have two people, you have to one.
Yeah,
You want to-
At some point.
you want me up there? or
I'll call you, I'll call you to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And walk up there, so I see it. But just can't really have more than two people.
Can you let us know what note? Maybe
Uh,
you could email Todd. Let me know what time you want to look
we do
I'm gonna,
that.
I'm gonna shoot for 8 o'clock. Tomorrow morning. Well, hold on. Are you good with 8 o'clock? All right, we're gonna shoot Brady from up. All
Thank you all very much.
right, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Would be okay if I went?
Yeah.
Can I go?
You sure can.
Sure.
You just asked.
Field trip.
Well, I'm responsible for the road.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. All right, very good. See, any other communications and public comments on any other subject?
Sorry for misunderstanding your question earlier.
No.
Nancy Delzell, Jim Matto, Nancy Delzell and I are here about the village of Westminster. Mostly to inform you of a couple of decisions we made and what's gonna be happening when it does affect the town. The first is that, to everyone's surprise, when the ARPA money came out, the village got some, which the village, as you know, hasn't had a village function, like taking care of street lights or anything else for decades, and should have been removed from the books, and that never happened, like a lot of small villages. So anyway, we thought that we dealt with that in a reasonable way by voting to have that money go to the town instead of the village, which was legally allowed, and by making the town manager the agent for the village as well as the town, which was also allowed. And Russ at the time dealt with that through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, which is handling that, reaching out and through the regional commissions to the towns on the state's behalf. More recently, Ally and I were working on it with the people from VLCT and Wyndham Regional. And we learned that because the town of the village of Westminster is really just a vestige of itself that should no longer be on the books, but is, and doesn't have the kind of budget that a functioning municipality does, that rendered the village ineligible in the first place, and nobody knew that. The money came in, federal government does not see things this small in their scope. The money came to the state sent it out. We now know that it shouldn't have been received. What's happened since then is that on June 30th, we had a meeting of the village trustees and we voted to return the money, which appears to be the only thing we can do. We informed VLCT of that, and Ally jump in on this if where you need to. And Katie Buckley at VLCT has suggested, and Ally has done, that that money be segregated. So when the time comes to return it, that can be done. It'll be clean. There'll be no concern about where the money was or is.
So I think one of my reports, that money could possibly be sent back for $40,000. And if you are looking at
It's going back.
it's going back.
No.
So
So that's one piece. We, in that motion, we also said that we wanted to ask the state to hold the town harmless so that money, which we thought it was like free money, obviously great, well, now it's going back. If that could stay, that would be beneficial to the town. Well, they can't do that. We learned from one town that said no to the ARPA money on day one. That money went back to the federal government. And some of this money is county money, that because we don't have county government, went to the towns and the villages. A portion of that, but a very small portion, can come back to the town. And that happens up in Montpelier. But we just wanted to be sure that you knew where that was and why. At the same meeting, we took up an issue that has been taken up apparently several times in the past and nothing was ever done with it. And that's to simply do the right thing and dissolve the village government so that this kind of stuff doesn't keep happening. It used to be, ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't have to do anything. Nobody cares. Well, now it's changed and things, and later on, you've got the mitigation plan. FEMA has decided that the village needs to approve that town mitigation plan or it's not going to be accepted. We've already dealt with that, which we'll deal when that comes up on your agenda, but all reasons why we need to get rid of it. So where that leaves us is again, on the advice that I got from, VLCT was that we work with the town, which is a VLCT member, to get initial guidance from their legal department on what we need to do. Now, you went through this already with North Westminster a few years ago. It's basically the same process, except that this village doesn't even have a checkbook. So, they can give us the guidance to make sure we get off on the right foot. I reached out to the Wyndham Regional Commission and asked if their staff could help with an admin things so that we're not dumping a chore on the town manager. They suggested yes, that they would do that. And so what I'd like to do is work with Ally to contact VLCT to make sure we get going and then work together on just pushing it forward. It's gonna take a good year to do this, it turns out. It's quite the involved process. So hopefully we can clean it up so that people in the future. One suggestion we had was, hey, they won't even know, just don't just ignore it. Well, no. I've experienced that in the past.
It would bite us at some point.
Just do it right, because someday someone's gonna want to come down and dot those i's and cross those t's.
Yep.
So just wanted to lay it out there, and anytime you don't want to look into it anymore, let us know.
All right.
And I'll work with Ally going forward.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Any other communication? Okay.
Yes, this is Alice Cajano. I would like to add a question to this issue.
Oh, Alice?
Yes,
We can't hear you very well. Hold on one second. I'm not sure if it's on our end or.
I think it's on her end, but I'll try turning up the volume on this.
Try again, Alice.
hold on. It's Sal Cajano. I have a question regarding the dissolution of the village.
Sure.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. When the village was formed, it was formed in order to create the volunteer fire department. The volunteer fire department is part of the contract with the town and the village. And I understood that if anything ever happened, that the town no longer decided to support the fire department, that the equipment and the building would go back to the village of Westminster. Now, I'm concerned if whether the fire department is involved in this dissolution.
I'm
Yes,
gonna defer to Jim on that.
You're right, Alice. When the fire district number 3 was formed, apparently, I don't know why, but the decision was that, I guess, not knowing how that was gonna work going forward, the decision apparently was made that if that fire district did not succeed, then, as Alice said, the equipment and land would revert to the village, which I think was probably transferred for $1 or something, and it would revert back. Same situation, however. Today, the village would, what do we do with the fire department, number one? And number two, the fire district serves the entire town. So looking at it, there is a deed, when that transfer was made, and it does specify that issue that Alice identified correctly. And I think that one of the things that would have to be cleaned up in the process legally is to change that. So that, first of all, I don't think the fire district is gonna go away anytime soon, but to change that legally so that you weren't trying to take a townwide fire function and revert it back to a village that's in no position to handle it. So that would have to be, Alice, exactly right. That would have to be cleaned up as an important part of it. And who knows what other things we don't know yet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for reminding us of that, Alice.
Good point.
Any other communications and public comment?
Bob Whitford, I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I would stop by and ask, what's the status on the Hartlepool Road? When I first started talking to you guys about this, you said you needed to consult with your attorney. My understanding is you have gotten an opinion from your attorney. And that opinion is that the town should go forward with acquiring title to the property. So,
My last correspondence with Larry, which was probably a couple of months ago, that he kind of, I wish I had it still, but he was working on it. It was Larry and Fletcher. They both were in agreement. Fletcher was working on finding a surveyor to do the survey portion of it that Larry had requested, I believe.
yeah, I think he said.
And he said, and Fletcher's words were, the town tends to use DiBernardo, but I think any licensed surveyor that would be willing to take it on would work. And I agreed with him. And I haven't heard anything from either one since, and I emailed them at that time to just make sure things weren't getting lost, that's all.
All right, I will.
If I had other information, I'd tell you, that's all I got.
try to-
But I can email them again tomorrow and see.
Yeah, why not?
Yep.
We probably ought to be emailing them on a regular basis until we got some action.
Okay, I'll shoot him another one tomorrow. Just-
Larry is the fact that-
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Any other communications in public? All right. Moving on, unfinished business Route 121 bridge discussion. In our packets, we have the three options from V-Trans. Somewhere on here, it says what this is the option 2 is the preferred option from the agency perspective, which
They're looking for our approval.
they're looking for a letter of support from the town for what option we would like to pursue.
They gave it 1, 2, and 3, so no 4 or 5.
No.
No. No. So option 2, we read through it, and Chuck might know more about this than I do. But option 2 is the deck staying the same width that they propose, which is like 4 feet wider than what it is now. Yeah, the deck stays the same. The abutments stay the same. This is just new steel, new beams, girders, whatever, however you want to word it.
And one pier in the middle would be encapsulated in concrete.
So some pier work.
Right. It's not that's in bad shape, we just changed the configuration slightly to take on the new steel.
Before we get going too far on this, Chuck and I did draft up a quick letter in support of moving forward. It wasn't in any option. It was just, let's not stop completely and start over. Let's try to keep momentum going. I apologize to the board if I didn't bring it in front of everybody. I did what I thought as road commissioner was within my wheelhouse. Maybe it was or it wasn't, but anyway, that I just needed to get that.
And basically, yeah, but the public, we're looking at another whole year.
So
Regardless of,
regardless whether
Yeah.
or not you go with option 1, 2, or 3, the timeline is going to be the same.
yeah.
And the difference is, the cheapest one they gave us was 1, and the $68,000 more to go with 2 out of our pocket.
Right.
The problem that I see with 1, and I think Chuck would agree with me on this, is you're gonna go through all this work and all this effort, and you're gonna get a 20-year bridge for a pile of money. Where it's all expensive, no matter how you look at it, but if we go with what they prefer is option 2, we're back to an 80 to 100-year.
Right.
The maintenance is much less, the steel comes coated of some kind that it doesn't need painting and sandblasting and all that kind of stuff, so.
The only reason we go out, if, like you said, if it was much quicker, but
Yeah.
in the same period of time, do it right.
The meeting we were at, we were told it would be from 10 to 20 years. Option one.
And they hesitated very hesitant. They were very hesitant to put a timeline, longevity of that bridge on it. They really didn't want to commit to,
No. They said maybe 20 years.
the wording they used was not real positive. It was a long term.
This cost a lot of money to do that, and we were talking the same timeline.
Yeah, so I have a letter that, Vern Temple sent in that I'll read and we can submit it for the record, but to the Westminster Vermont Board, Select Board, please accept this letter in lieu of my absence as I'm unable to attend this evening's meeting. Please note that during your discussion on the Route 121 bridge replacement, that an 18-month closure timeframe becomes unreasonable for everybody. It increased safety concerns, detoured buses, it interferes with access to healthcare without a more direct route, and it interferes with commerce for all towns involved. The original 8-week closure made it reasonable to utilize detours. However, an 18+ month closure of that bridge requires that the board give serious consideration to a temporary bridge replacement to ensure access to the community members. Route 121 is a main thoroughfare, and tax-paying citizens expect reasonable accommodations. I look forward to hearing about your discussion, Vern Temple. I can appreciate his concerns, and I don't disagree with his concerns, but I don't think we have a lot of choice in that. When you talk about a temporary bridge, which isn't even on any of these options, you're probably adding hundreds of thousands of dollars more to the same.
Well,
And that
No,
becomes
no, our
our,
math.
they don't fund that. That's
You're not
us,
a million,
right?
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're adding exponentially the amount of
Well,
money.
they originally gave us a quota of 125,000 out of our pocket to put a temporary bridge.
Yeah,
And that's where they worry about, once they start digging, if they find something that could be hung up.
right. And
But I didn't understand, go back to option two, I thought they were gonna stop working on it and then go back to here. You're talking me they're gonna actually start working on it now,
Yep.
close it for 18 months?
No matter when they start it, Fred, they're gonna close it for 18 months.
yeah, that was our feeling, was 18 months is 18 months, whether you start now.
They've already got
Wait,
the
sir.
signage in place, they've already got the scaffolding in place. If
I
we-
don't understand
if
why
we
they
kick it
said
down the
work
road,
on it though, if they're not gonna be able to even get the steel for a year. Why don't?
they're not, who said they want to use steel for a year?
It says right here.
They did.
Well, since then, Jason McCarthy called and said they felt they would have it before then.
It says it's gonna take a while to design it, even before they even put the order in for the steel.
I
They got all their designs in.
I think they've straightened some of that out.
Just read.
It's not like, yeah, okay, so I don't know what you got funny, but like, I was told in a phone conversation by J.D. McCarthy, the project manager, that if they started right now, taking the deck off it, doing the concrete work they had to do to accept the steel, at most, they would be a month waiting for steel, but they'd have everything in place.
Just not saying, this basically said they were gonna have, there wasn't need to this fall, they could put the order in because they had to design the steel.
The old-
He's going by the original email that we got.
Yeah, so Craig, in the back under summary, second paragraph down. Speaking with Chuck Lawrence today, town road foreman, it appears the town is leaning toward option 2 and would be willing to close the road this summer, fall to begin the demolition of the existing structure and possibly begin work on the pier. This would help accelerate the construction and possibly allow the bridge to be open to traffic earlier in 2023.
I guess I didn't understand.
I did see an email somewhere though that mentioned steel being, they think it will be more readily available than they were originally thinking. I thought it was in this, but I guess it's not.
No, and maybe I've got a bunch of emails.
I saw it somewhere at a phone.
But that was after we had looked at it and discussed that.
Well, it does say,
Option 2.
please note that the estimated indicated above were calculated to the point of comparison options only. Once an option has been selected and design plans developed, a more exact estimate will be developed. I see no sense in in rehabilitating steel that's there that get a 10 to 20-year lifespan out of. We'll be doing this again in no time.
So here's something else to consider. So you go with option one. You've got the bridge, excuse me, Westminster West, it's gonna have to be replaced. And if you kick it down the road, this one's gonna be bad again at the time that bridge has to be replaced.
I don't think anybody here wanted option.
No, I'm just, all I'm saying is.
No, I don't think it's
If
money.
somebody was thinking that, I don't,
No, I just think it's nothing to do with money. What we're gonna get a hassle about is the length of time we're closing that bridge.
but
I don't think I would.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, option two seems to be the most viable of the,
That's
of those options, if I'm
My
not
opinion.
mistaken, right?
no, that's my
And
opinion.
do we need to make a determination on this evening?
The sooner we get them a letter of,
And we authorize you to go ahead and we'll send the letter in for option number 2. As voted by the select board.
no, nobody's gonna be happy about a 16 month.
No.
It is what it is, though, really. at the end of the
That's
day.
out of our power.
well, they're right. And no matter whether you go with option one or two, the timeline will be the same.
Right.
Of closure.
Well, Mr. Chair, based on the due diligence presented, I'd like to make a motion to formally accept option 2 as presented in writing. From the State of Vermont Highway Division, Project Delivery Bureau, Director of Design Section, July 5th, 2022. Submitted sincerely by James B. McCarthy, Structured Project Manager.
I'll second. Also, since we're
Hold on, so we have a motion and seconded. Is there any discussion on?
Yeah, well, we're in discussion. Can you make sure we send a letter, especially to those people who won't live right there? I mean, as much as they read and talk, they ought to know that the people, you know what I'm talking about, on the other side of the bridge.
In,
The Copeland,
Yeah, no, this side of the bridge. They're the ones that gotta turn around, go all the way back up and come back around.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
oh, where Buckner's apartment is there.
Yeah.
that
Nope.
have-
Now,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, as soon as we get a real,
And what you're gonna have to do in the winter time, you're gonna have to plow, still plow there to let those people out, right?
right,
Yeah.
Okay.
And if, so my opinion, if it's something changes and the steel comes in the winter and we say, hey, we could get that steel set. We can send a couple loaders down there and get it plowed out and get it so they can set the steel in the winter. If it's an option, if it's not, then no problem. We'll work with it and figure it out. But
Need the motion amended, Craig, to reflect what it is that you are
Well, I'll just,
suggesting.
it's not having to be part of the motion.
Okay.
It matters to send the letter or, no, the motion is fine.
Okay.
Want to make sure we notify the people. That's all.
so motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion this time? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I think we probably should put, well, we should definitely put something in the Gazette as well.
you wanna.
We don't know the dates, but expect a long.
I wonder if we should send a letter to the, like the select board and that, or draft and just so that let them know too that, because the select board, we have no choice. And we can't hold it for 18 months, so they know.
Nope, I'm just looking at.
And I have not told anybody that the bridge closure was off. So,
No, I don't say that.
no, I'm just saying, so people shouldn't get that impression. I said it was a slight delay, but don't,
A reasonable courtesy to understand the minutes.
yeah, no, absolutely. So, I'm just saying, nobody should be surprised if we start, the lights come back on
Yeah,
and things start happening.
yeah, and they'll have their public relations person, they'll be on that.
And I've spoken with all the road funds around it.
And then I assume the staff probably will contact the sheriff's department, because it's going to be a little chaos. So people get trained on what is going to happen.
Yep.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, any other discussion on 121 bridge?
Just curiosity, one other thing.
I think,
that comes out.
Hold on, sorry, Pauline, I don't even look that way. Sorry, go ahead. Can't hear you.
I know. Am
Okay.
I there now? I just, I just wonder if, before this all goes through, if maybe a weight restriction for that bridge might be a good idea?
They didn't indicate to us at that time, this was probably what, 3 weeks ago now. That there was one needed, but we can talk to them. and-
it was a question. You know, if it's in that need of repair at that
Yeah.
level, I worry. I worry about trucks, you know, a lot of basin trucks go through there. A lot of heavy equipment goes through there. And if it's not safe, then maybe a weight restriction might be a good idea, advisable anyway. So
It might be a good
anyway,
way to get trucks trained before it's closed too, to get
Yeah.
used to them
Yeah.
around the other way.
just,
Do you want to just shoot that McCarthy a question about that? All right, very good. Thank you, Pauline.
how come?
Anything else on 121 bridge discussion? All right, moving on, conflict of interest policy.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we're making very good headway with this, but given the fact that this is July, several of our cohorts involved in this are not here. For whatever reason, so
You want to continue to
we'll
table?
continue to table, but there is some headway made, and I think there should be an open discussion on some of these proposals. So yeah, I'd like to table it so that way we have a full quorum of folks that are interested in this policy, because there are some things that we discussed. Because there would be teeth to some of these things.
Okay, so we'll table conflict of interest policy at this time.
Yep.
Tax rate approval.
Okay, before you, this is the tax rate that, I worked on. It's a little different from last year. And the biggest reason, of course, is, it's not ever the town, the fire district, or the local agreement that is the big tax issue. It's the education tax. The education tax came in at a very nice number this year. For a change, the homestead folks are gonna get a lower rate than the non-homestead. So, it's quite a big difference. The non-homestead didn't move too much. But the homestead rate came down quite a bit. What, 20 plus cents, 20.
Good job, good job.
So the other thing, that I would like to discuss with you, while you're looking that over, we have an option which has been tabled before. You can charge residents up to 8% if they don't file their taxes in a timely fashion. That we have to create another tax bill for them. So if they file late, then the homestead comes through, we have to print another tax bill. That's revenue for the town, but it's also kind of for the residents. In past, when I've come before you, in my past life here, they've said, well, we'll charge them 1%, we'll charge them 3%, we'll charge them nothing. So being this is the first year pretty much out of COVID, I wouldn't suggest you try and rack this up, folks. But that has to be part of this before we start printing tax bills. That has to be zeroed out or at your pleasure of where you'd like to be.
So you want to be at zero on the penalties of being late.
No, of filing your homestead declaration late.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've always been pretty good about it.
Yes, I don't think I've ever been here once when you've charged the 8%. But when you do charge a percentage, it's revenue, but is it worth it? You know,
Well,
But that's a separate motion. First meeting.
yeah, but I just wanted you to, but I didn't want to forget.
you have the original to sign.
I have mine, the original will be in yellow.
Okay.
If you're happy with that, you do have last year's rates to see the difference, because it took me most of the day to do this because I was very, very nervous because the rates were so different from last year on the homestead. I had it looked over by more than one person.
You know, the thing that's still alarming and, for me, being here a long time, that this is like the third year in a row where our grand list has gone down. And I don't know why, because every year we kept thinking, oh, we put up new houses, we did this and we did that, and it still went down. And I remember last year when a town manager was saying that,
Yeah.
you know, hey, it's gonna go up and see all these, but it ended up going
Well,
down.
we're, we're selling, you're selling homes and, I mean, it's just, Pauline, but she said earlier, house, we had assessed it 275,000, sold for 525,000.
That's not good,
That's
because
not
that's
good.
gonna harm us something,
It's
but
not,
It's gonna trigger the reappraisal.
That's
like
right.
that.
that's right.
so we, somewhere along the line, we might need to have a meeting with the listeners to go over that, like, where are we at?
Right.
And where, you know, in this town-wide, because if I was being led that this brand list is gonna keep going up. And, which is not bad, you know, which is really good, like, I can't believe the last, the third year, we went down.
I thought last year Russ thought we were gonna hit 3,
Yeah, we never did.
and I don't remember what reason, but there was.
Well, we took a few things off. He wasn't counting the police station, but still, this is apple for apple compared to one.
Yeah.
So, but I'll go ahead and, make a motion that we turn around and set the town rate for fiscal year 2022 to 2023 for the town of Westminster. The homestead would reach $2.3398, and the non-homestead would be 2.3828.
Second. Motion has been made, to approve the 2022-2023 tax rate as written. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Would, take a motion, and I'm just gonna keep 0% at the.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we charge 0% on anybody that's late. What is it's gonna be the fiscal year 22, 23, 23.
Homestead.
Homestead.
Declaration.
Late filing.
Will be 0%.
Seconded.
Slaughtered that.
Motion has been made and seconded to keep the
Penalty.
Late homestead filing fee
late homestead filing penalty at 0%.
0%.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passed. Anything
I'm
else?
sorry, who was the second?
Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin was the second.
Anything else on tax rate approval? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business hazard mitigation plan adoption. Here we have.
Do you have it in front of you?
Yep.
All right, I'm giving it to Jim right now. And Nancy
As the village.
as the village. I don't, do they need that? Does everyone need to sign or is it?
Everyone needs, yeah,
Everyone, okay.
just real quickly, we approved it on June 30. And then I requested whether or not we needed to meet again because the state didn't chime in with its final approval until after that. And I got it in writing if you wanted, the answer was no, those changes were
I meant
minor.
to, I'm sorry, I meant to. Both.
Is she saying?
Oh, you have that? Oh.
I did, I
Okay,
forgot, I
that's
didn't
fine.
print it off.
So,
Jim, hold on.
he thinks it- go ahead.
Are you saying the village approved this on 6/30/22?
Yes. And so the advice we got was go ahead and sign it with the date June 30, because that's what our minutes show, and it was not a problem.
Makes sense.
That's what we're doing.
Yep, okay.
This is only the question.
Be able to back that up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Page 51. I don't know what we're doing with it.
Do we just, so we needed a motion to accept and sign the local hazard mitigation plan as printed.
If anyone would like to read it.
No. It's substantial. It's substantial. Ooh.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So we got to adopt it, right?
And I give that to you.
Approve and adopt, yeah.
For you to give to get the rest of the-
You want him to read it?
They asked me, though.
She wants him to read it? That would be-
To get them to
We-
sign.
It's been,
Oh, you are.
Come on.
this is a final.
Are you making a motion, Fred?
I'm just gonna think that, so this has nothing to do, we're just basically approving this plan that you're in, which is
Right.
it.
That's right.
Okay, yep.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the local hazard mitigation plan for the town of Westminster. A time limit, we just adopted it today.
No, it's June 30 for those folks.
Today.
Today for you.
Okay. On July 14th, 13th.
13.
Second,
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the local hazard mitigation plan as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
thank you, Alan and Jim.
Moving on to financial position discussion. We've kicked this around for a fair bit of time, and I think we need to figure out what we're gonna do with that and move forward with it.
Right, unfortunately, I do apologize, I've been discharged, it's coming up with a description, and I'll get that to you by Friday latest.
We, I just, so you know, that I did call around local surrounding towns. And the people that are happy with their financial people are not willing to share. And,
Yeah, blame it.
so, Springfield had one of the best ideas, which we've knocked around in here. You get someone in here doing financial part-time, so they're in here part-time, and then maybe they're sitting in the lister's office as the admin in there. I mean, there's jobs that can be, so we can get them full-time and benefited. But it's just finding the right fit.
To have enough work for
That's
somebody
right,
to
to have
make
it. Yes.
it a viable position.
Yes, the benefits alone in town, you all know, are worth a lot.
About, I wonder if he's writing up that he should include something that the position could include other
That's right.
Duties or
other needs or talents or something that we're willing to write the position around the employee.
Okay, good. So you're gonna work on a description.
I'll just see everybody in, but I'll send it to Alan later.
Okay, and we'll table that for the moment, and
Craig's recommendation.
we'll keep it on for next meeting.
Bye, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you
well,
for
sir.
doing this. I have a lot of work to do.
Anything else on financial position discussion at this time? We'll move on to listers discussion. John is here. And I think this probably speaks volumes of the listers discussion.
I'm just here to listen because I saw it on your.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody to take anything personally, but we've heard a lot about lack of progress in the lister's office. Coverage. I don't know how to word it, but and some training that needs to be done and whatnot. Pauline, if you want to jump in, feel free. I'm of the opinion if there's training that needs to be done.
I can't speak to the training. I can speak to the impact that the lack of having a lister in the office. I mean, we've gone weeks and weeks and weeks without a lister in the office. Rachel was gone on a educational sabbatical from March until last week, which, you know, we took a hit from. Jackie's been ill a lot and not been able to come in. There's been the lack of training opportunities for John. So, I mean, the whole culmination of all of that has resulted in not only no one in the lister's office, but I'm trying to cover what our people need. And I'm not comfortable as the town clerk being responsible for making sure that what these people need is what I can deliver to them. So anyway, it's been an issue, and Rachel is back and holy cow, she hit the ground running and it's been wonderful. I feel horrible about, John coming forward and being elected and lacking the resources for training. And, Jackie's just been ill, so I don't know what the resolve is, but I hope there is one. I hope there is one.
Listers are very, very, very important to the town. Very, very.
It is.
And John, I don't know if you've been into the files. That's the best I can do is go into the files. Like I can get a list of cards for folks, and that kind of thing. But as far as what you folks do when I've been in the grand list, that's where I had to do the tax rate type thing. So I have minimal help that I can give you, but Nemrick has his and Tyler. Pauline.
I think that's the name.
If I can interrupt for a second. So Vermont has a Vermont Assessors and Listers Association. That if the town is a member, which is $50, that's all it costs for a whole year. It covers training. I have an email I can send you. I haven't made it that far yet. It includes NIMRIC courses. All the training is paid for by the state for most things. There are a few things that look like there might be an additional cost, but it's like $100 or $75.
That's in the budget.
Yeah, like I said, we have the money in the budget.
And it's way cheaper than NIMRIC.
We used to have Al from Nimmer used to come and actually do, it was real good because it was hands-on. They would actually go out to a few homes, walk them through it, so that everybody would ask questions to learn. You would take the 2 or 3 listers with them and go do it. And they always came back saying, okay, we learned a lot because it's hands-on, I don't know why we couldn't see if we can research doing it again.
Yep.
John, I appreciate all your effort too of trying to make it work.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
know you've been
absolutely.
in every effort to do it. I appreciate your patience.
No.
It sounds like Katrina's come up with a viable solution for the
I'm gonna send it to you now.
The discussion that you had, I was wondering why you didn't invite us. Number one, we put it on your agenda and.
We haven't had an official discussion of any
But
kind here.
you
It's been,
you had a listers discussion on your, that's how I thought.
I asked Rachel.
Okay.
I
So, but from my understanding, you have a assessor. You pay for the assessor. The assessor is the only person that can change the assessment in the town. Is that, you're correct? Is that what you think too? Okay, so the listers are basically only there to sit in the office and help out a customer? Is that kind of what the lister's doing? Or? Because you can't change, somebody can't come in. Well, I guess I'll go back. This year was probably pretty special because nobody complained with their taxes and it went to the arbitration grievance, right? So that's, and I think Jackie did a good job of that, talking to people and saying, why this is this, but why this is that. So I think you have to give her some credit for that. Rachel put it on. I personally came in when nobody was able to train me. So that's kind of where I'm at. I can probably take some courses. I can go in and sit with Rachel and try to learn that way, I guess, but I'm not sure if my thought was I was going to be going out and checking people's houses and seeing if
Well, I think one of the most important, if I may, one of the most important functions is processing the property transfers, which changes everybody's tax rate. And I think you're coming, John, I think you're coming in tomorrow to meet with Rachel, and I think that's her primary role is to help you understand that. And there's a stack of property transfers that need to be processed that haven't been. So she's been working on it. She's great. It'll get done. We have a good, it will work out. It's a good team, but it's just been, the office has just been vacant, so. um,
Well,
I
I
would
didn't-
feel-
I mean, I didn't realize that Jackie wasn't around. You know, I saw on the thing that she had her office hours on Thursday. Rachel had her office hours on Wednesday, and then I was.
But, you know, Rachel was
I
gone,
had to be there basically, but maybe.
yeah,
Right.
and,
But without the proper training, at that point, you're just,
right.
I mean, I really can't get on the computer
Right.
because the assessor said that the last lister made $1 million mistake. And I don't know how that works.
But basically, the answer to your question has been a long time. The lister's job was, we get 20% money from the state to do 20% of the appraisal. Now, you don't set the numbers, but you actually go in and data enter and say, we went to this home, this is what it looks like. Then somebody else set the tax rate. Basically, you're doing all that entrance.
I don't think that's the case. I think that Tyler, who's the assessor, he's the one that goes and checks out all the property.
On all the new properties.
Yeah. But not the list.
But you should be, but back in the day, the listers were going.
yeah.
Right,
It wasn't bad,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, they would take pictures, they would put the data
Yeah.
entry, but they didn't put the value. That's what he did.
The other thing,
But I don't think that's happening anymore. I think that Tyler is doing, is Tyler or Al is the one that goes, once we have a zoning permit, they're the ones that go out, not the lister. I might be wrong, but that's what's
No.
happening now. Is that
You're
right?
right, you're right.
So the lister's job is not doing that, which I would have thought that was mine. I don't think I'm cut out to be sitting at a desk with a computer myself, you know, I don't think that's. I mean, I'm willing to give it a go, you know, for the rest of my term, obviously, but I'm not so sure that I'm cut out for sitting in an office and playing computer.
the lister
appreciate
should be
that.
going with the lister should be going with the assessor.
I mean, I think it should be too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the lister should be checking the assessor to make sure he's not making this check.
Checks and
He has made this.
That's part of your role as an
Right.
elected official, is to
Right.
check and balance exactly for that person.
Right, I
Alex
mean, I
brought
think
up.
that was what I was trying to focus in on, because Tyler said he's not coming back until fall to go in and check all the places that have been built, and this stuff, so then I would go with them. I thought that would be my job.
Without an objective elected official to, I know there's a conflict there, but you know, with people always saying what's better with what. You could end up, and just in my observation, with someone who can hold himself out as an expert, they're really not. And part of having that extra pair of eyes, supposed to give it, you know, pause if there's something not being done correctly, to make sure that the assessor is confident.
Right.
And that assessment.
And I checked his contract to make sure he's getting the hours.
That's exactly right.
That was kind of what my job, I thought was.
Yeah.
I didn't think my
And-
job was going.
And kind of over confirming that what I have recorded for property transfers is done correctly, as it should be, and how it should appear on the grand list. So
Checks and balances.
Right. So, I mean, I will get back to Jackie and Rachel and see if we can kind of tighten it all up.
Great.
I mean, I think that's what I can do.
And I mean, if there's training available and we have
Yeah,
the
there is
money to do it,
I will take training.
definitely, you know, and if, I know we had talked before about hours, how previously hours were cut way back to a real minimum. I don't know how we change that, but if there's a stack of work that needs to be done and you need the hours to do the work,
there's a ton of hours available.
I don't think that's, I personally.
That's
don't
not a
think
problem.
it's an issue. Like, if you need more scheduling hours for people that want to come in and see, don't have to go to the
Get called
counselor.
every day asking.
Right.
questions really helps.
Yeah.
Basically, if you came back and said, yeah, if you come between 1 and 3 on Tuesday,
And if you-
there'll be a list.
Even if someone said, okay, John, can you do it on Monday? Can you not hear me, Pauline?
I can't hear you.
Okay, so what I was saying is we get calls every day if the listers are, have their listers in, if I speak to a lister, okay? So say your set schedule was Monday and you feel like you're in the weeds. I can step in, Kelly can step in, Pauline can step in, and at least we can try and help.
Sounds fair.
I mean, most of them,
I don't get
they
it.
want a lister's card, they want, you know, so we can definitely help them with that.
Yeah, the different scenarios that come across. it's the best looking.
Right, I mean, then I'm gonna learn how to do it, for sure, but I guess, so you think the best thing to do is just me set a date or, like a Monday or whatever day and have a 4 hour shift?
You could do whatever you felt comfortable with. You could do a 2 hour shift for a
Right.
while. You could do it,
I guess what I'm saying is don't feel like you're limited
right.
by.
No,
I can only work 3 hours today. Well, if you got 5 hours worth of work today, you can't do it in 3. Do it, take the 5 and get it done. I don't,
Maybe you want to come in Friday morning
I
and
mean,
Monday afternoon or whatever.
speaking for myself, I'm not a nickel and dime. I'm not gonna look and go, wow, you were over by an hour or 2
I
hours.
wasn't charging for my labor. I haven't charged. That wasn't what I wanted to get to the town. So that's why I don't want to put a whole bunch of effort into this either. I want to target it maybe, so. That's kind of where I'm at.
I got you.
I really don't want to, be on the payroll, to be honest with you. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm
Okay.
willing to give the town some time. I guess I need some training and some advice.
Yeah.
Basically, that's. what I'm
Thank you
looking
for your volunteering and
Right.
also your.
so John, has Chris or Tyler from Nemrick been in touch with you? Because I've talked to them both about your situation and how they could be helpful to you
Yeah.
with training.
I will reach out to them too. I will do that. because
Okay, all right, because they
No,
both
I-
said they would, yeah.
I'll start tomorrow with Rachel and see where we go from there. And I hope she's there. I mean, I keep texting her and I haven't got a text back that she's gonna be there, but we'll see. Hopefully she does, and we can get it going and then people can be happy with the listeners office. Right?
Sounds fair to me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Anything else on listers discussions this time? Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
We'll go to town manager's report.
The only thing I have left is the trash tags are out.
Got mine.
Got mine.
Oh, my God.
Great job.
So yeah, that won't have to get extra, but, quite an experience, lot to it, lot to it. But it's
Thank you
out,
for getting
it's
it.
done. Pauline.
Thank you,
helped,
Pauline.
and we all came together, Patty helped, and we pushed them out.
Great.
But
Great
we
job.
had to go to Lebanon to pick them up and, oh, that was a good try. And then, but anyway, that's done and, tax rate's done. Getting a lot of calls on the bridge, but I think everything's going smoothly so far.
Good, great. Great job. All of you. Great job.
Thank you. Anything else on manager's report? All right, executive session. You want executive session time? Probably should. Yeah. What's that?
I thought we were.
Yeah, just the board or?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll have one tonight, just the board, for a,
Personnel evaluation program.
sure. For personnel evaluation,
Okay.
uh,
Make a motion that we go into executive session for personnel evaluation.
Should I stop recording?
Yes. When they're done.
yeah, we have a few other things before we get to that, but. Second. Motion's been made and seconded to go into an executive session for personnel evaluation. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Boards, committees and commissions. See anything on that? So we'll call it other business. We have, cemetery deeds. Is it just one, Pauline, or two? It's two.
It's just one, there's two.
I gave you 2 in case you
Oh,
had an error, so just sign one.
Signing, right? There's not many,
Just,
just one signature, just one signature from the chair. You make my
Just
last
one from the chair and one from Kevin, and I just I just did 2 in case there was an error and you needed one, so.
okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
move to adopt Town of Westminster. Following, cemetery deed, Benjamin L. and Barbara Dow of Westminster, County of Westminster, one burial located in section B, row 14, found on the east by a house and on the north by low and empty on the west and empty on the south on the Westminster West Cemetery. For this day, 13th day of July, 2022, Town of Westminster, by duly authorized.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the cemetery plot for Benjamin L. and Barbara Dow as written. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Melly, do you want one of those to get the wording right? And-
I'd love it
Okay.
if you do have an extra one. Thank you.
Yeah, just give it.
Thank you so much.
For the extra copy.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Date of the next meeting, July 27th, 2022. I was hoping to get away with one for July, but it seems like we probably need to have that one, so. At this time, we'll go into executive session. You can stop. Yep.
Can I have everything you signed, folks? Please.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want this back?